I never expected that a simple monthly family dinner would expose the deep rot hidden inside the character of my own daughter. Sitting at the crowded restaurant that evening, I watched the very people I raised turn on each other over nothing more than material wealth. The painful lesson learned that night changed our family dynamic forever and proved that true human value is never worn on a sleeve. As a loving parent, I always tried to instill humility, kindness, and love in my children from the moment they were born. My 2 adult children took completely different paths in life, which became glaringly obvious whenever we gathered together for a meal. That specific Friday night was supposed to be a peaceful family celebration, but it quickly transformed into an arena of harsh judgment and hidden arrogance. My daughter Cassandra always chased expensive status symbols and eventually married a man named Preston who shared her deep obsession with outward appearances. On the other side stood my son Vance, a quiet young man who preferred a simple lifestyle and never boasted about his achievements. The massive contrast between them grew wider every single year, creating an unspoken tension that constantly simmered beneath the surface. We gathered at a local steakhouse, where Cassandra immediately parked her least luxury vehicle right by the front entrance for everyone to see. Vance arrived moments later in his ancient sedan, which featured a massive, ugly dent along the passenger side door. As soon as we sat down at the table, Cassandra began loudly discussing the exclusive new neighborhood where she and her husband planned to buy a home. She announced to the table that the basic starter houses in that area cost $400,000, which she considered far too cheap. Cassandra looked directly at Vance and stated that they were only viewing the executive models starting well above $600,000. Vance simply nodded his head with a polite smile, completely refusing to let her condescending tone ruin his good mood. Preston joined the conversation by openly mocking the long-term reliability of older vehicles and suggesting that some people lacked real financial ambition. I felt a painful knot form in my stomach as I watched my daughter smirk at her brother while he calmly cut his steak. The blatant disrespect felt completely intentional, designed specifically to humiliate Vance in front of the entire family gathered together. Cassandra then asked Vance when he would finally move out of his small apartment and get a respectable career that paid a real salary. She offered to have Preston look over his resume, loudly implying that Vance was trapped in a sad cycle of poverty and career failure. The restaurant grew very quiet around us as I prepared to intervene and stop the cruel treatment of my son. Before I could utter a single word to stop her, Vance set his fork down calmly and pulled a set of official documents from his jacket pocket. He explained to the table that he actually knew that subdivision very well because he purchased the entire development company 3 weeks ago. Cassandra stared at the papers in absolute disbelief as she recognized the prominent corporate logo printed on the deed. Vance explained that he preferred to invest his money into appreciating assets rather than high monthly payments for flashy luxury cars. He gently informed his sister that her application for the executive home loan had actually passed across his desk for final approval just yesterday. Preston turned incredibly pale as he realized that the brother they ridiculed held total control over their future housing dreams. The arrogance drained from the face of my daughter completely as the reality of the situation finally settled into her mind. She tried to stammer a quick apology, claiming that her harsh words were only meant as playful teasing between close siblings. Vance remained entirely calm, stating that he would judge their housing application based strictly on financial merit without any personal bias or anger. I looked at Vance with immense pride, realizing how much he had matured while keeping his incredible financial success completely private. He did not need the validation of a luxury badge or the envious stares of strangers to feel secure in life. Cassandra and Preston spent the remainder of the evening staring down at their plates, completely silenced by the weight of their own pride. When the bill arrived at the end of the night, Preston reached for his wallet with trembling hands, but Vance quietly handed his card to the waiter. He paid for the entire family dinner without making a grand show of it, demonstrating true wealth through his quiet generosity. We left the crowded restaurant in absolute silence, the dynamic of our family forever altered by the truth. In the weeks that followed that dinner, Cassandra stopped bragging about her social status and began treating her brother with genuine respect. She learned the hard way that wealth is not measured by the things you display, but by the security and character you build. Vance still drives his old sedan, reminding us all that true success does not need to shout to be heard. This painful experience taught me that the quietest people in the room are often the ones holding the greatest amount of power. It is dangerous to judge a person by outward appearances, because true character is built through humility and consistent hard work. I am grateful that my son showed us the importance of staying grounded, proving that integrity always wins in the end.